growing up in suburban New Jersey, I really hadn't had much exposure to agriculture. In fact, my first experience with it was with our local dairy family who delivered the milk to our doorstep every single morning. Fresh, delicious milk from the Van Penen family farms. It was absolutely delicious. But what really piqued my interest about this early locavore experience was how hot those Van Penen boys were. You could say I had a really positive initial experience with agriculture. So fast forward 20 years and I met another hot milkman, my husband Mike. And let me tell you just a little bit about Mike. You've all met that person who at 7 years old knew exactly what they wanted to do in life and then became that thing, but not only became that thing, became the best at it. Right? You've met that person? No? Okay, if you haven't, then meet my Mike. He's just a little bit driven. I was an art history student, but very quickly I became swept up in all things dairy. And so we, disclosure, I'm sorry. Mike was also my landlord, and I did negotiate a really good deal on rent. Turned out I was pretty business savvy and entrepreneurial, even way back then. So we were running this wonderfully successful dairy veterinary practice that Mike had already established. And at the same time, we were also running a couple of small dairy farms. Our first one was just 300 cows. But we very soon realized that the dairy farming part was something that we really loved. And so we committed to doing this full-time, sold our practice, and moved to New Mexico. And here we were living the dream, milking 5,000 cows and focused on really the utmost care and comfort for our girls, and then also producing the highest quality milk for our cooperative. So we were just starting our family, and things were going great. But then, as they say, life happens. Milk prices hit an historic low, and when Mike was at a particular dairy cooperative meeting, he started digging in only to realize that there was this inefficient system that really did not serve the best interest of either consumers or farmers. So he came home from that cooperative meeting, and he was really frustrated, really down. But we had this beautiful farm. We were really respected as dairy farmers. We were starting and growing our family. We could have just gotten up the next day and kind of done the same old things. But we didn't. And Mike challenged us to do something better. So we got out a map. And around our farm, we drew a big circle. And within that 300-mile radius circle, we started identifying milk buyers and processors. And then we started knocking on doors. And what we told these milk buyers was that because of this incredible care that we gave to our cows, we were able to create this incredibly high-quality milk. We emphasized to them that we had a story to tell that their consumers were really looking for. One milk buyer company got it, H-E-B Markets in Texas. They saw the bigger picture of how having this higher quality milk and having this story behind it was not only going to be beneficial to their bottom line, but also to their consumers. So we invited them to come out to the farm. And what they said still just blows me away today. What they said when we invited them out was, "Are you serious? We can come out to your farm?" Amazing. No one had ever invited them. So very quickly, we understood that transparency was not a thing in milk buying, in dairy cooperatives, or in agriculture in general. And this was not a good thing. It was something that needed to change. And again, Mike and I could have let sleeping dogs lie, but we couldn't. And so because of our belief in quality and transparency, we actually, together with a bunch of like-minded dairy farmers, created our own dairy cooperative, Select Milk Producers. Today, Select is one of the largest dairy co-ops in the country, and is certainly one that has shaken up and driven innovation back into the dairy industry. But you know, as big as we are today, it's all about the same values that we had at that small little 300-cow dairy farm in California. It's about making sure that our girls are extremely well taken care of, comfortable, have wonderful feed, fresh air. It's about making the highest quality milk for our consumers, and it's about creating continuous improvement practices so that our farms can continue to become more and more sustainable. So now, we've got this great farm. We've got this revolutionary cooperative. We're growing our beautiful family. Life is great. But then, the well caved in. And this well on our farm provided this wonderfully delicious drinking water to our cows. But it caved in. It was gone, and it wasn't coming back. So we had to do something quickly because our girls were not drinking as much water as they should have. So we put in a reverse osmosis unit, pretty simple, no big brainer there. Boom, good water came back, girls started drinking, you know, we're all good. But one time when we were going to change out the filters that we had to do on a regular basis for this reverse osmosis system, we noticed that we got a different kind of box. And so we called the manufacturer up and we said, you know, this looks kind of different. Are you sure that this is the right filters? And we read the number to them and they said, oh boy, you know what? Those are the wrong filters. They're a different porosity. They're meant for a different application. We're sorry about that. We'll get a new box shipped out to you right away. Different porousness, different sized openings, different application. We were taking the minerals out of this hard drinking water to make good drinking water for our cows. Milk had minerals. Milk also has fat, protein, lactose, and water. What if you could use a series of filters to be able to take milk apart? And what if you could recombine those different parts of milk into specific combinations, like more protein and calcium, less sugar, no lactose? And what if you could do all of this while still maintaining that great, delicious dairy flavor? That would be something. And so we decided to try something. So we found this wonderful scientist, and he's actually still with our company today. And we decided, let's buy some equipment and try something. But this was the mid-90s, and milk was milk. Milk is so generic that people would just think about, you know, that supermarkets would sell milk as a loss leader. They would actually lose money on milk just to get more people into the store. You didn't even think about the value of milk. That's how poorly milk was conceived. There was no value by the consumer. There was no value put upon it by the supermarkets. But Mike and I knew that there was just so much more to milk. And so we decided to start playing around with the idea of taking milk apart and putting it together again. So with our scientists and with this equipment that we were playing around with, we were able to take different combinations. And my kitchen table was literally It was literally our lab where we sat and we combined and we tasted and we readjusted and we tasted again and again and again until we had something. So now we have this something, and it was really a wonderful product. And we had to think in terms of that there was this great new technology that we've discovered, but we also understood that there was a lack of innovation in the dairy case. And it was almost a moral motivation that called us to action, that called us to do something about just bringing back milk into the spotlight of what, where it needed to be, and to bring that value back to the consumer. So, we became Fairlife, and so this great company was born. Yay! And like my daughter Jacqueline so profoundly described, Fairlife was like having another sibling in the family. And like any entrepreneur will attest to, Jack's words were the absolute truth. We took this company, we nurtured it, our baby, and from its infancy of giving away product out from the back of pickup trucks at local 5K races, to today being recognized by the Nielsen Company as being one of the most innovative companies in the country, we have kicked off dairy innovation back into the dairy case. And by doing so, we've also been able to shine the spotlight on all of the great attributes of both milk and dairy farmers. So it's been just an incredible journey, and it's been wonderful to watch how Fairlife has been received by so many people. And I get so many emails from people telling me how it has affected and changed their lives. People from young kids who had to stop drinking milk because they couldn't, whether it was a lactose or whatever it was, they stopped drinking milk, to older adults who would tell me, you know what, I stopped drinking milk because it just didn't taste good anymore, but your milk tastes like milk used to taste like. So to have that ability to make that impact on individuals has just been such an honor for us to be able to do. And Mike and I have we've always challenged ourselves. There's always something bigger. There's always something better to what we can do. For instance, at our farms in Indiana, where we milk 15,000 cows, we had a big problem. We had 15,000 cows worth of manure problem every day. But we knew that, you know what, there's got to be something better to do. There's got to be some value in all of this manure. It's funny to hear, but it's very true. So today, we actually we vacuum up all of the manure and effluent that comes from our girls, and we put it in anaerobic digesters. And then what we are able to do is we're able to collect the methane that comes out of the manure in these anaerobic digesters, and we use that methane to create energy. We actually make our own electricity. And not only that, not only that, we have created a renewable biofuel that runs 42 tractor trailers from our farms to our milk markets. We displace 2 million gallons of diesel from having to be mined from the earth every single year. But we've also continued to believe and drive transparency in our industry. I wholeheartedly believe that if you don't believe in transparency, and this is for every industry and every business, if you can't pull back the curtain and explain with confidence to your consumer, describe what you're doing, then you may need to rethink what it is that you're doing. And that's not to say that us farmers were doing anything necessarily wrong, but we're just a very humble lot, and we just want to put our nose to the grindstone and work an honest day. Transparency was not in our vocabulary. But because Mike and I have always championed transparency, we decided we needed to really kind of walk the walk. And so at our farms, at Fair Oaks Farms in Northwest Indiana, we opened up our farms to the public. You can literally get on a bus and take a ride down the middle of one of our cow barns and see the cows on both sides of you eating, resting, socializing, getting a shower. You can go to the pig adventure and see 100 baby pigs being born every single day. You can go to the crop adventure and learn how farmers think of the health of soil. They think of it in terms of it as being a living, breathing thing. And very soon, you too can ponder the eternal question of which came first, the chicken or the egg, at our new egg adventure. You know, there's just been many times, I think, where we could have paused, where we could have kind of rested on our laurels and said, you know, that this is good. But there's always been something bigger. And at Fair Oaks Farms, our real mission is to become a global platform for all of us, for consumers, farmers, scientists, legislators, even activists, to sit down, to break bread, and to have the important discussion about how we're going to feed 10 billion people in 30 years. And we need to do that without ever clearing another acre of rainforest, and we need to do that without polluting any more of our waterways. It's going to take almost another planet's amount of resources to be able to do that. It's really quite staggering to think about. But of course, you can always visit Fair Oaks Farms too and just get an ice cream cone. So now at 57 years old, you know, what's next? Well, I would definitely like to eat more ice cream with my triplet grandchildren. Or maybe take a few more vacations. But there's always something more. There's always something more. There's always a bigger way where we can connect the consumer and the farmer. One thing that I have learned is that when you believe in something bigger than yourself, you change. Just like the metamorphosis of a butterfly, you shed something, you become something new, and you can't go back. And so from becoming this, or being this big-haired Jersey girl, to being, like a farmer today, it's been just absolutely eye-opening. When you think in terms of agriculture, you're all involved in agriculture. If you eat, you're involved in agriculture. If farming is just not for farmers anymore. And just like it's going to take all kinds of farming, from organic to conventional, from large to small, from urban to rural, it's going to take all kinds of people to come together and to think about how we continue to drive innovation so that we have a healthy population and a healthy planet that we can leave for our children. Today, less than 2% of our population creates the food that feeds us all. But I am advocating for that to change, because I believe that through safe science and technology and innovation, we can have more farmers out there. And they're, getting to go to things like South by Southwest and sitting with the cool kids from Silicon Valley and MIT and UC Davis, that science is out there. And it is going to be, something that's going to create more farmers. Going from this like big-haired Jersey girl to being a frustrated artist to being a dairy farmer, a co-op founder, a brand leader, the question is now, what do I want to do next? What do I want to metamorphosize into? And what I want to do is to become an advocate, someone who advocates for agriculture. Because it is going to take all of us. Farming is not just for farmers anymore. And the cool thing is that you can all play a role. You can all contribute to the future of farming. Whether you're tending crops and getting dirt under your fingernails, or whether you're milking cows 3 times a day, or whether you're sitting behind a computer screen, engineering or designing or blogging, we can all be part of the success of the future of farming. And if there's anyone that can stand up here in front of you and say that, it's me. After all, I went from being all googly-eyed over those Van Penen boys, those hot Van Penen boys, to becoming the dairy farmer advocate that you see here today. Talk about a metamorphosis.